Hey everyone, and welcome in. Ready for a deep dive today?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, so we're focusing on Brady's Voice, and this is a local nonprofit doing some really important work around youth mental health.
And what's amazing is how much they've managed to accomplish in a relatively short time. They're still a fairly new organization, but they are just like firing on all cylinders.
They really are. They have this incredible energy, and it's coming from such a deep, meaningful place.
Yeah.
Brady's Voice was founded in memory of 15-year-old Brady Elbaum.
And instead of letting that tragedy define them, Brady's loved ones turned their grief into something so positive. It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. And you see that reflected in their mission statement, to help kids cope with their mental health. Simple and direct, but so powerful.
Totally. And it gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. There's been a lot more awareness around youth mental health lately, which is great, but awareness alone doesn't solve the problem, right?
Exactly. I mean, we're still seeing a lot of stigma, and access to resources is a huge issue for many. So how is Brady's Voice tackling those challenges?
Well, one thing that jumped out at me was how prominently they display the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline on their website. Like right there, front and center. It really caught my eye.
Mine too. And I think it speaks volumes about their commitment to immediate support. I was saying, hey, if you're in crisis, reach out right now.
Exactly. But it goes beyond that. They're not just about awareness. They're providing actual resources and support.
Okay, so let's hear it. Tell me more about what they're doing.
So, for starters, they have their Brady's Walk and Mental Health Wellness Fair. This event draws hundreds of people.
Hundreds. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really something. People come together to walk, talk, connect. It's all about building community and breaking down that stigma around mental health.
The energy there must be incredible. That sense of shared purpose, everyone coming together.
Absolutely. But they don't stop there. They also bring in speakers like Jordan Toma, the youth motivational speaker. You might have heard of him. He's nationally recognized.
Oh, yeah. I've heard his name. What's his message like?
Well, he talks about embracing challenges, prioritizing mental well-being, that kind of thing. He's living proof that things can get better, that you can overcome obstacles.
That's so powerful. I mean, it makes me think about Brady's Voice's overall approach. They're not just throwing information at the problem. They're creating these spaces for authentic connection, which is so important, especially for teenagers.
Absolutely. And that's something we'll definitely want to unpack further as we dive deeper into their work.
Yeah, it's like showing them, hey, look, you're not alone in this. It makes it real.
Exactly. And it reminds me of another one of their initiatives. They helped launch a Hope Squad at Brady's former high school, Old Bridge High School. It's a peer-to-peer suicide prevention program.
Oh, right. I read a little bit about that. So it's about empowering students to support each other.
Yeah, and it really gets at this key point about youth mental health, which is that sometimes teens feel more comfortable talking to their peers than to adults.
That makes sense. So with Hope Squad, they're trained to spot warning signs in their friends and classmates and then reach out for help.
Exactly. It's like recognizing that sometimes the most effective help comes from someone you see as an equal, someone who gets it.
That is so true. It's like that whole idea of it gets better, but coming from someone your own age who's maybe going through similar stuff.
Right? It just hits differently.
It does.
Ah.
Okay, so we've talked about the walk, motivational speakers, the Hope Squad. What else? There's the scholarship fund, right?
Yes, the Brady Elbaum JROTC College Scholarship Fund. Brady was really involved in JROTC, and this scholarship honors his memory by supporting students who share that same passion for service and leadership.
That's so cool. It's a really beautiful way to keep his legacy alive while also giving back to the community.
It really is. And speaking of keeping his memory alive, one thing that really got to me was learning that Bruce Springsteen actually dedicated a song to Brady at a concert.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. It just shows you the power of community, right? And how even a small gesture, it doesn't get much bigger than Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
Can have a huge impact.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the ripple effect of Brady's story and the work that his family and friends are doing through Brady's Voice.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Brady's Voice is clearly doing amazing work on multiple fronts. But I'm curious, is there a particular example of their work that you found particularly innovative or effective, something that really stood out to you?
One that really impressed me was their spring mental health event that they held back in March of 2024. It was only 2 days long, but they really packed a lot into that time.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that. It seemed like they covered a ton of different stuff. What was their strategy with that event?
So They took this really smart, multifaceted approach, kind of recognizing that addressing youth mental health requires action on multiple levels. Like, day one was all about laying the groundwork, building awareness and understanding.
Okay, so like setting the stage. What did that look like?
Yeah, exactly. They kicked it off with a session called Mental Health 101, just to give everyone a basic understanding of mental health. Then they had these really powerful speeches from Brady's family and friends.
Wow, those must have been really moving.
I'm sure they were. Just hearing those personal stories, the firsthand experiences, I think it really drove home the human cost of suicide and why organizations like Brady at Voice are so important. And then, to wrap up day one, they did an introduction to the Hope Squad program.
Oh, smart. So kind of planting the seeds for that peer-to-peer support early on.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got day one, education, awareness, personal stories. Now, day two is where they shifted gears from understanding the issue to taking action.
Okay, so day two action steps. Tell me more about this.
So day two was all about giving people the tools, the resources to actually make a difference in their communities. They had meetings with school counselors, giving them a chance to talk about the specific mental health needs within their schools.
Yeah, that's so important. Those counselors are on the front lines.
Totally. And it doesn't stop there. They also did suicide prevention training for educators, giving them those skills to recognize the warning signs, how to respond effectively.
Wow, that's huge. I mean, that kind of training can literally save lives.
Absolutely. And here's where it gets even more interesting. They also had a separate training just for parents and kids together.
Whoa, okay, now that's thinking outside the box. Because so often, these conversations focus on either educators or parents. Brady's Voice is like, no, let's get everyone involved.
Exactly. They get it. You can't address youth mental health without including everyone, right? The whole support system.
Makes sense. And it actually takes us back to something we were discussing earlier about Jordan Toma's approach. Remember how he connected with those kids, sharing his experience with having an IEP? It was all about that authenticity.
Right. Meeting people where they are.
And speaking of Jordan Toma, I'm curious, what was it about his event at Brady's former middle school that really stood out to you?
For me, it was that he didn't just get up on stage, deliver his message, and then disappear. He stuck around, he signed autographs, took photos with the kids, had those little one-on-one conversations.
It's those small moments that can mean the world, right?
Absolutely. And that, I think, speaks to the heart of what Brady's Voice is all about. It's not just about the big events or the programs. It's about showing up for young people in all those little ways, too.
So true. It's about recognizing that every interaction matters.
Yeah.
And that actually brings us to you, our listener. You've heard us talk about Brady's Voice, their mission, their work. What's resonating with you?
What stands out? Think about their commitment to meeting these young people right where they are.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but we want to leave you with a final thought. You don't have to start a nonprofit to make a difference in the lives of young people, right?
Sometimes the most impactful things are the smallest things, like lending an ear to someone, a kind word.
A genuine connection.
Exactly. Those things can be so powerful for someone who might be struggling.
So as we wrap up here, think about this. What's one small act of support, one small act of connection that you can make in your own community? What's one small thing inspired by Brady's Voice that you could do?
Could be something as simple as reaching out to a young person in your life who, maybe seems a bit withdrawn, or letting the teenagers in your community know that you're there for them, that you'll listen.
Every act of kindness, big or small, it creates those ripples, right? Makes a difference. It makes the world a more supportive, more compassionate place for everyone, especially young people.
Couldn't agree more. We're all in this together, and together we can make a difference.
Yes, we can. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Brady's Voice. It's such a powerful example of the power of community, how important mental health awareness is, and the impact that even one life can have.
It's a beautiful reminder that we can turn pain into purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, even the smallest acts of kindness can have the greatest impact. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.